We have Ryan Mauro joining us because I want to go over a story that we called him about late last night, and the guy has not slept. This guy is a warrior for truth. Let me give you the story. This is from the Post. Renee Nicole Good, the mom who was killed by a federal agent after veering her car toward him, was an anti-ICE warrior and part of a group of activists who worked to document and resist the federal immigration crackdown in Minnesota. Good, who moved to the city last year, linked up with the anti-ICE activists through her 6-year-old son's woke charter school that boasts they put social justice first and prioritizes involving kids in political and social activism. My gosh, why would you put your 6-year-old kid into a school that says that we're going to involve them in political activism? Oh my gosh, these guys are dangerous revolutionaries. She was a warrior doing what she knew was right. Okay, so we called Ryan and we said, Ryan, can you help us out on this group that she's involved with? Because they were making it sound like this group is just observing. Well, you don't take your car and block a street if you're an observer. That's not what observers do, okay? Observers do exactly what what's his name from Blaze that was at January 6th? Steve Baker. They do that. They stand off to the side and they watch and they write down and they record, okay? That's what an observer does. They don't block roads with their cars. So we called Ryan. Ryan, tell us what you found out about this group. Ryan Mauro from the Mauro Institute. He's the director of counterterrorism expert. You can help his group, and I urge you, if you want to stop Islamic extremism and you want to get to the bottom of stuff, we've just partnered with Ryan. He is part of our research team now. His team is so good. But please, it's a nonprofit, and you can support by going to ryanmauro.com and finding out more information. Ryan, what'd you find last night?
Sure. Well, according to the New York Post, she became involved with this group called Minnesota ICE Watch through this school, with this charter school, which I'm still looking into and have some stuff that I want to verify before we get to that.
Sure.
But as for Minnesota ICE Watch, which is the group that would be actually on the streets as opposed to the school, it was actually fairly easy research to do because they were openly radical. It turned out this isn't really about the issue of protecting undocumented migrants, illegal immigrants, and protecting people from the abuse of the law enforcement. It's actually about doing things like eliminating America and setting cop cars on fire. You go to their social media page, and it doesn't take much work, actually, to find instructions on how to assault police in order to get free people, open up cop car doors and pull people out. They do not recognize the United States as a legitimate country. They have posts that refer to it as Turtle Island.
Oh, my gosh, they're Turtle Island people. Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
you want to explain what that is?
You go ahead.
So Turtle Island, I'm not even sure it has a ton of merit. But it goes to this belief that a lot of the anarchists and communists spread out there saying that just like Israel should be referred to as Palestine, then all of North and Central America should be referred to as Turtle Island, because they say that the indigenous people, the Native Americans, that's what they all referred to it as. And I'm not finding a ton of verification that that's actually true. But that's what they say in order to basically indirectly call for the destruction of the United States, which is a more uncomfortable thing to say than, hey, destroy Israel. It's a little bit less popular. And so when they start talking about liberating Turtle Island, that's what they're calling, and that's what I've been calling the Turtle Island Intifada. So they believe in that, but their language is even more aggressive than that, where you actually have posts where the one that's really alarming to me, it says how to start a community defense center in your neighborhood. And them and their allies usually say, oh, that just means we're watching, defending in terms of like, we'll give you the number to a lawyer. Well, that's hard to say when your post has a depiction of a cop car on fire. So when they say set up your community defense center in your local neighborhood, That's a violent intention. That's how you build an insurgency.
Okay, hang on just a second.
That's not just people watching.
Let me just tie this together. You just heard what Ryan just said, just there on that thing about protecting your neighborhood. Can we please play the audio of Governor Walz from yesterday we played just a few minutes ago, and listen with that information in mind. Listen to what he said.
Our history, when things looked really bleak, it was Minnesota's first that held that line for the nation on that July 3rd, 1863. And I think now we may be in that moment that the nation's looking to us to hold the line on democracy, to hold the line on decency, to hold the line on accountability, and more than that, to rise up as neighbors and simply say, we can look out for one another.
That, I told you 25 minutes ago, what he's doing is he is empowering and activating a neighborhood revolutionary guard. That's exactly what Ryan was just saying in different words. This is a group that is telling you, as neighbors, here's how we get together and protect your neighborhood from these evil police. This is what's happening. And the governor is encouraging it and speaking the same language. Would you agree with that, Ryan, or am I off base?
No, I agree. I think he's using the language that is comfortable to him, and he may not even know the origin of where that rhetoric is coming from, that it is seditious in nature. If you look at the groups on glennbeck.com in my article, I go into some more detail about them. I mean, they're anarchists. They're anarcho-communists and kind of open about it. The material that this group posts comes from groups that are quite open about that. And they actually say, as part of setting up your community defense centers in neighborhoods, wherever you can do it, after you pick out a spot, the next step is you find local organizations to bring into your alliance. And then you identify nearby vulnerable sites for developing strategic patrol routes, like for intelligence gathering and stuff. And what they name are things like car washes and vendor hubs and churches. So I suspect there's an increasing presence of the Christian anarchists. And sometimes they'll ally with open Satanists. I've seen that. So
ally with what?
Don't be surprised.
I'm sorry. Ally with what?
Oh, with like Satanists, like people who are, I'm a member of the Church of Satan type people. And you'll see them, there'll be crossover between them within this Turtle Island movement and with Christian anarchists. And so this mentioning of churches as vulnerable spots that need protection it's just a data point to keep in mind for whatever they're envisioning. But they're envisioning something, because their post, they had one of their most recent posts, which was written with another more openly violent anarchist group, actually calls for reinforcements, people to show up at a certain location, and they ask people to bring their Christmas trees to burn and anything that they can use to barricade the streets.
This is Ricky. Thanks for working on this all night. By the way, he didn't get a drop of sleep.
By the way, Ricky is our executive producer of all of the Glenn Beck stuff.
We dialed back some of the language on how we framed the headline of this. We can definitely ascertain that it's an extremist violent group, ICE Watch is, but you went so far as to call it a domestic terrorist group that fits the definition of the FBI. Can you explain that? Because that's pretty loaded. And if we're going to make this claim about her reported ties to ICE Watch being a domestic terrorist group, please back that up.
Yes, absolutely. I happen to have the FBI definition up here, actually. So you go to FBI.gov, you look at the definition of domestic terrorism, and it reads as follows. And again, this is dependent on the New York Post reporting saying.
Wait, you broke up. I don't know if you're going from your bedroom to the bathroom, but
I'm not. Yeah.
Wait, okay, okay, you're back. Okay, go ahead. Tell us what.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So yeah, New York Post says that she's connected to this group, and so I'm saying that this group meets the FBI's definition of domestic terrorism, and it reads as follows: violent criminal acts committed by individuals and or groups to further ideological goals stemming from domestic influences, such as those of a political, social, racial, or environmental nature. So ideologically motivated violence that is criminal in nature, which if you're teaching your supporters how to free people from being in the possession of the police, I would say that fits the definition.
Wow. So, Ryan, have you seen anyone else? I mean, because yesterday they tried to make her look like just a simple mom who, just really cares about Somali people and justice and everything else. And then when this came out, all I heard all day yesterday was all she is an observer. She was just observing. She's there with this group that they help out with making sure that nothing is wrong, and they report on the police and everything else. Is anyone else reporting this? Who this group is that she's actually with?
A New York Post touched on it a bit. They focused more on the charter school, which is apparently, according to their reporting, where she connected with Minnesota Ice Watch. But I think that came out pretty quickly, and so maybe it just was a matter of time before people combed through it all. But no, that narrative is still there forming, and as you well know, when there's controversies like this, if you're late with the facts at all, it doesn't take long for things to cement in people's minds at the moment and then in their memories a few weeks later when things fade. And so it's important that we react rapidly with the truth and with these types of facts as these things form so people understand what's really going on, that the issue you're being told is the issue often isn't actually the issue.
It never is. It never is. Thank you so much, Ryan. Just keep us up to speed. The article, you can find it at glennbeck.com. He just broke a story with us yesterday about another domestic terror group that everybody needs to be aware of that is on the Sharia law side of what's happening to America. This one is just the radical anarchists and communists and Marxists that are involved, and that is apparently who she was involved with. She was not just somebody who is there to observe. Again, you don't park your car across the road to block it if you're just an observer. That's insanity, and we all know it. Will anyone actually admit to that in the press? We'll see. Ryan, thank you so much. Where do people go to help you? I got to write this down so I have it.
Sure. It's just my name.com.
Okay.
So RyanMauro.com is the easiest way to do it. So Thank you for that.
You bet. Ryan Mauro. I have to tell you, there are several people that we have been watching over years and we rely on and look at as really good, solid, reasonable people that we know do their homework, that we have worked with over the years. And one of the things that I'm doing with my new Torch project is a couple of things. One, we're not holding back. When we would do these Wednesday night specials, it would take us about 2 weeks to do a Wednesday night special. So we were always 2 weeks ahead on whatever it was. And there's so much going on that what we found was by the time we would get there, there would be another story in the news that was so big that this one kind of fell by the dust. And we don't have time to wait. And so we've taken our Wednesday night specials and we're just putting them on radio every day. And when we find it, we don't hold it. We just give it to you right away because I just feel that's the right thing to do for time. But we're also, we are more than doubling our efforts on research. And Ryan is one of our new partners. And we are working closely with them to make sure that their research is seen and heard, and we work together because I also don't think any of us have time to duplicate efforts. We have to work together if we're going to make progress and save not just America, Western civilization. So if you want to support him beyond what we're doing, please go to Ryan Mauro, Ryan, M-A-U-R-O, RyanMauro.com. You can support him there. You can find his article now at GlennBeck.com. Make sure there's a link on all of his articles to him so people can support. We're supporting him as well, but also you can support us 10% once we start doing subscriptions. I've always tithed 10% of everything that I personally make. I have made a new rule. Not only am I doing that, but my company, every dime our company makes, 10% will go to charity and to people like Ryan beyond what we do to make sure that we are giving back to the community. So join us at glennbeck.com. Thank you for thinking for yourself and being part of a movement, because that's really what all of this is. If you want the full story, you want to go deeper, go to blazetv.com/Glenn. Go there right now, sign up, no interruptions, just the truth, uncensored and unfiltered. Don't just watch, take a stand. And I'll see you over there in a minute.